Welcome back to Fair Is Gone, another YouTube video for you guys today. Going back on the tier list, we're hitting it with second base today. A lot of guys are going to fall in a lot of different categories. I think we're going to be pretty dispersed. Again, make sure you like, subscribe to the video. Make sure you go check us out on Twitter. Check us out on Apple Podcast and Spotify. But let's get right into the video. Gabe, we're going to start with you this time. We're going to hit you with Robinson Cano. How do you feel about Robbie Cano?
Ooh, this is an interesting one. I believe he's the oldest starting second baseman left in baseball at this point. He's turning 37 this year. Man, time flies. It was really tough for me to put him in the B category, so I had to drop the C. Probably C+, because he definitely still has potential if he stays healthy to have 25, 30 home runs, bat 260 with a good on-base percentage. His defense is a bit suspect, obviously, because of his age, but I think he still falls very solidly to C+-ish.
All right. Good choice. Good choice. Ryan, we're going to flip over to you here. We're going to go with Howie Kendrick.
Howie Kendrick, I really want to put him in the C tier because I just don't know that he can keep up his numbers at the age he's at. I feel like he's got to drop off at some point, but I also feel like we've been saying that for 3 or 4 years. He had a great year. He had an awesome World Series last year, so I'm going to keep him in the B tier. Solid starter.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's one I will wholeheartely agree with you on, actually.
He can still hit the ball.
He's so good that he's on our first base and second base tier list.
Hey, man, he's going to play everywhere for them.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, he's good. That's a good choice.
Yeah. Next up for me, I have Ozzie Altuve. I have to put him in S tier still. Still a guy that if I'm building a team around it, I will take Ozzie Altuve 9 out of 10 times. I don't think he's nearly as good as he thinks, or nearly as good as the media thinks he is, but he's still an S tier guy for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Going over to you, Mr. Simmons. Cesar Hernandez.
Ooh, a good one. If you asked me 2-3 years ago, I probably would have put him in B. Honestly, at this point in time, he is about as C as it gets. Straight C.
Yep. I can't argue against that.
Yep.
Up next for you, Mr. Jordan, DJ LeMahieu.
I'm going to have to put him in A tier. He had a borderline MVP year last year. Hadn't really hit all that crazily in Colorado until he went to New York this past year. But hitting in that lineup with Judge and Stanton, he's got some protection. Great average last year, great OBP. Found some power even after leaving Colorado. He's very much A tier and can play all over the diamond.
Mm-hmm.
No arguments from me. Up next, I have Starlin Castro. Yeah. I think Starlin Castro is as C as it gets as well. Pretty average defense, pretty average contact guy, not a lot of power.
Yep.
Gabe, moving over to you. Mike Moustakas.
Ooh. I put him up in B tier. I think his offense is what gets him there. His defense, it's okay, I guess. It's borderline below average, I'd say, but his offense makes up for it, in my opinion.
Yeah. I feel like you could make the argument for A as well, but I agree with B tier.
Mm-hmm. That's what it was. I almost put him in A tier. Forgot about that. Yeah. I really wanted to, but his defense was kind of like what held me back.
Yeah, he's close.
Up next for me, Wilmer Flores. I don't like him a lot. Defense is really bad. Not a lot of power. He's kind of fallen off in recent years. So D, underwhelming.
Yeah, he's your basic gap stop guy waiting for a prospect.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mr. Jordan. D. Gordon.
D. Gordon. I'm a little tempted to put him in D tier, but I think for now I'm going to keep him in C. He plays good enough defense at second. He still hits for an okay average. He's got some speed. He's what you want out of a second baseman, no more, no less.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same.
He could fall to D pretty quickly, though.
Yeah, if he loses some more speed and doesn't hit as well, he's going to hit D tier very soon.
Absolutely.
I think for now he's correctly put in C, but it's going to happen really quick. One of these years, he's just going to fall straight to D.
Yep. All right, Mr. Simmons. Colton Wong.
Colton Wong. Oh, I really, really wanted to put him in A, and I was this close to doing it.
Mm-hmm.
This is my top B tier guy. B plus, A minus, wherever you want to put him. That's where I put him. I put him in B, but I really wanted to put him in A.
Unbelievable defense.
Yes. Yeah. Fantastic defense. But I mean,
yeah.
I'm still hesitating on. This was the closest one for me of any player to between categories. Leave him B for now, but I mean that was real close.
Gotcha.
Long's interesting because I feel like he was a guy when he came up. He was pretty hyped coming up, and then had a good rookie year. Kind of fell a little bit flat in his second year, and then we always kind of waited for that big breakout. But he's been very sneakily getting better and better and better, and he's borderline all-star now.
Yeah, literally everyone forgot about him for like 2-3 years, then kind of reappeared this past year, last year.
Yep. Remember he moved to center field at one point. That was weird.
Yeah.
Up next for me, I have Luis Garcia, a guy I really don't know much about. I go ahead and put him in average on it. I don't have really much to say. I don't know too much about him.
I threw him in D.
Switch hitter. He's got that going for him.
Yeah. Up next for you, Mr. Jordan, Jonathan Scope.
Jonathan Scope, I'm going to put him in the B tier. He hit 40 home runs, was it 2 years ago, as a second baseman? I mean, that's
2017.
Like prime 2017. Okay. I mean, that's prime Brian Dozier type power. He took a little bit of a step back, but sneaky good signing for Detroit. I mean, I think he might be a top 10 second baseman when he's healthy and hitting low.
Yeah, well, it really sucks. I think his talents are going to waste in Baltimore and now Detroit. He really hasn't been a part of a really good team.
That he's not going to play for a contender.
But. Yeah.
I probably wouldn't put him top 10 because of some of the prospects that are coming up now. I think we're going to surpass him. If you want to talk about this very second, okay.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it depends on how guys like Lux play when they actually get up and get a decent sample in the majors. But
yeah.
All right, Mr. Simmons, Brian Dozier.
Brian Dozier. I wonder if you're going to put him on here. D for Dozier.
Yep.
Pretty solid D for me. Very underwhelming. It's really disappointing because he had such a strong start to his career in Minnesota, and then he hit that 29, 30-year-old mark, and just everything, it's gone.
Yep. Yeah. Up next, I have Hanser Alberto. I'm going to have to put him in average. Really good contact guy. Was overlooked a lot last year. Not a lot of pop. Pretty average defense, but average.
Yeah.
Mr.
Baltimore.
Yeah, that's basically how it goes. Up next, my favorite player, Profar from the San Diego Padres. I'm not even going to pronounce his first name because I can't.
Jerkson.
Thank you.
At the beginning of last year, I would have put him in D tier, but he actually had a decent year for the A's, found some pop. I think he was a good pickup for the Padres, so I'm going to put him in like the C- tier for right now.
Yep.
I put him in D, but that's a fair argument.
All right, Gabe. Odor from the Rangers.
I think last year was kind of a fluke for him. If it was just going off last year, he'd be in D tier, but I still got to put him in C because he's got the power. I think that his batting average was a fluke. He'll pick that up. He walks an okay amount. I think he'd be fine.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty cut and dry there. Up next for me, Tommy La Stella. I'm going to have to put him in solid starter. I think he's got the bat to be a solid starter. The defense is much to be desired, but a guy who, when he's hot, he's just as good as anyone else. It's just all about getting consistency for him.
At age 30, he's only really had 1 year where he's played a lot last year.
Yeah. To each their own opinion.
All right.
Up next, Ryan, Jose Peraza.
Jose Peraza, I'm going to have to. He's another guy that kind of waffles between C and D for me. He never, kind of like Profar, had never hit that peak that he was hyped up to hit. Because I went C- with Profar. I guess I'll probably go D++ with Peraza. He's got some glove, got a little bit of speed, but just no pop in the bat at all.
Yep.
Yeah, he was probably my top D guy as well.
No argument for me. All right, Gabe. Ketel Marte.
S tier.
After just 1 year?
I know, yeah. It was close for me, but yes. He impressed me enough.
Okay. I respect it. I would probably right now have him in A++, like another very strong start to the first half of the season, and I'd probably bump him up to S tier, but I got to see more than 1 year.
Maybe.
That's a fair argument, but I think he was pretty good 2 years ago, wasn't he?
It's all right.
Yeah, the power was what put him up to S tier, and outside of last year, he just has not shown much power at all. Hard for me to know if that'll stay or not, because I'm
buyer. I'm a Ketel Marte buyer. I think he's gonna be pretty good for a long time.
I'll take that stock too.
Up next for me, Franklin Barreto. Unknown. We haven't seen the guy play enough at all. I don't even have any numbers to talk about him. Unknown. That's the best I can go with him.
Feels kind of weird, right? Because I feel like we've been talking about him coming up
For
and
3
playing for the
years.
A's like 2016.
Yep.
He has played for 3 years in the big leagues, but never played more than like 20, 25 games.
Very sparingly. Just came up when a guy went on the 15-day DL and then back down.
Yep. That's exactly what he's been. Up next, Ryan, David Bodie from the Cubs.
David Bodie. He's another guy who hasn't really played a ton, but he's definitely played more than Barreto. I'm going to go C tier. Just he's got decent contact ability and versatility. Keeps him in C tier for me. Just being able to bounce around the diamond and give some guys some days off. And keep Chris Bryant out of the outfield because Lord knows why Joe Madden would not just stick him at third base.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Up next for you, Gabe, Gavin Biggio.
Gavin Biggio. B. Solid
B?
B tier, but if he gets all-star first half, he goes up to A for me.
Yeah,
He's shown the minor leagues he can hit, and that's a good sign. So he's probably upper B echelon for me.
yeah, he could fall anywhere between A and C based on what he was going to do this season for me.
Yeah.
Up next for me, Adam Frazier from the Pirates. A guy, he really gets looked over. Solid contact guy. He's at like the top of C for me. That's the issue. I don't think he's on that solid starter yet. He's very close. I think with a full season this year, I really would have been able to put him there. But for now, I have to put him into average.
Yep.
Yeah. Up next, Ryan McMahon. McMahon.
Ryan McMahon.
McMahon. Thank
I'm
you.
going to have to go D. He just has not. He plays in cores and just has not really shown much ability to hit the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, 24 home runs last year. I know everyone was hitting a lot of home runs, but I wouldn't say that's not at all hitting the ball. I would put him at least C. Actually, shockingly, this was kind of teetering for me. I put him in B tier. Now, that's a little high, but
That's
a little high.
You could make an argument for C for me.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would
B tier is a bit much.
okay, that's fair.
Up next for you, Gabe, Luis Arias.
Arias, I really wanted to put in B, but we just haven't seen him enough. I threw him in C for now,
Mm-hmm.
but I think he's underrated. He gets forgotten about a lot in that Twins roster. Contact guy, pretty defense needs a little bit of work, but it's still solid. Yeah, C tier for me.
Yeah, he had an unbelievable playoffs.
5 for 11 against the Yankees.
Yep.
4 doubles.
Up next for me, Ozzie Albies. I'm gonna have to put him in All-Star. I don't think he's made that jump to franchise cornerstone yet. He could have made it this year, but he has to really put it all together, especially when facing one side. He's a very one-sided switch hitter, which is weird. But All-Star, really solid with the glove, good speed, all the potential to be S tier.
He was the closest to making S tier for me from the A guys.
Yep.
But I agree.
Up next, Ryan, Michael Chavez.
Michael Chavis. I'm gonna put him in unknown tier.
Yeah.
Just played half a season last year.
Yep.
It just not. He looked very promising from his time last year, but just not enough of a sample for me to tell whether he's gonna be able to make a big league impact or whether he's gonna be one of those guys that bounces between the minors and you're always looking to replace.
I feel so overprepared because I looked at all the minor league stats for these guys we don't know a lot about.
Well, no wonder you were late.
I would put Chavez in D, but yeah, if you just want to put him in, that's completely fair.
Yeah, I try not to put too much stock into minor league stats because they're a pretty good indicator, but there are plenty of guys that hit better in the majors than they do in the minors, and then there are plenty of guys that tear up the minors and all of a sudden and you're always going to lose a little bit when you jump up, but they go from tearing up AAA and go to the majors and can't hit a lick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Up next for you, Gabe, Nico Horner for the Chicago Cubs.
Definitely unknown.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. Even look at his minor league stats. It just doesn't. Yeah.
Yep.
I know.
Yep. I completely agree. Up next, Brendan Lau. I'm gonna have to put Lau. He's again a guy I'm really not sure about. He's proven himself some months, and then other months have looked kind of rough. I'm gonna have to put him in like the top of C for right now. MLB The Show GOAT, I will say that. Dude's a sneaky BR pick if you play the show.
Yeah.
But in real life, he hasn't proven enough to make it to that B tier yet. Up next, David Fletcher. For you, Ryan.
I'm gonna have to go B tier for Fletcher. He's kind of in the middle. He pretty good hitter and very, very, very good with the glove and has some versatility for that Angels team.
Yep.
Remember when I drafted him above Carlos Correa?
Oh boy, yeah, I do.
That was the best decision of the century.
Yeah, that solidified my win in that case.
That was bad. He is very good though.
Up next for you, Gabe, Scott Kingery.
Scott Kingery, I think just straight C as it gets.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely got the potential to be B. Heck, maybe even A. But he's not even close to that yet.
Yeah. Nothing else to say there.
Yep.
Up next for me, Gavin Lux. I want to put him in C or B, but I'm not ready to. I'm going to put him in unknown. I think this was his breakout season this year. We saw a little bit of him last year. He was pretty good, but again, a guy that we haven't seen enough for me to be able to rank yet. But could easily be B, easily be A as well.
Yeah.
I
actually
can go ahead, Gabe.
I actually stuck him in B because he's hit all along the line. His defense is pretty solid. I think he's going to be a straight up contributor to the Dodgers team this year. But it is what it is.
I'm not ready.
He's just didn't play enough last year because he could easily just hit 250 all year. But if I had to bet, I'd say he's top of B tier, knocking on the door of A tier pretty soon.
Yeah.
Ryan's a believer.
Yeah.
So are you.
Yeah. Ryan, for you though, Keaston Hira.
He actually had a very good year last year, did he not?
Yes, he did.
I'm going to put him in kind of the same place as Lux, but with the sample size, very top of B tier, knocking on the door of A tier, because, man, he can hit.
Yeah, I think I'd have put him in A tier.
It's unfortunate his defense is kind of lackluster.
Yeah,
but, man, his offense, I really want to put him in A tier.
Yeah.
I think I'd have put him in A tier.
Yeah, and you could definitely make an argument for A. Just the defense and the 1 year sample is keeping him from A for me. But another half year season, he's very much knocking on the door of A.
Yep. Mr. Simmons, Isan Diaz.
Isan Diaz. I gotta go unknown. I did rank him. I'm trying to find him. I put him in D, but again, just sample size is just not there. I don't think it's fair to him.
Yep. Absolutely. Last but not least on the tier, Nicky Lopez, underwhelming. He's really not anything special. He's just kind of a speed guy. He's like an Alberto Mondesi light, and Alberto Mondesi, it's not like he's an all-star either. So I'm going to have to put him in D tier. But yeah, I mean, that's going to finish off the tier list for the guys we have. Honestly, a pretty weak position now that I look at it.
Yeah.
Very young. I would say not weak, but young.
I'd say weak.
Yeah. A little bit of both. There's some young guys that can break out and help solidify it, Lux, Hira, and if Albies takes that next step into S tier, it can become a pretty decent group. But for right now, there's a little more to be desired. I think it's probably maybe behind catchers, the second weakest position.
Yeah. There's kind of a couple of factors, in my opinion, that's kind of playing into that. One of them is we've just had a big wave of second basemen who were very solid for 10, 15 years. I think who's the guy just retired? Kinsler. Kinsler's a big one. And guys are on the decline. Kipnis. Who's the other one?
Cano.
Castro Cabrera's another one.
Yeah.
So guys are trying to decline, so that's hurting the position a bit. And the young guys are coming up, and it's becoming more of a utility type position. So it's the guys that players are flexed in and out of the lineup constantly. It's a really hard position to read on, honestly. So I think it'll improve 2-3 years though.
Yep. I agree there. Yeah, you basically put it the best way. But to recap the tier list real quick, S tier we have Jose Altuve and Ketel Marte. At the All-Star tier we have DJ LeMahieu and Ozzie Albies. In the solid starter tier we have Howie Kendrick, Mike Moustakas, Colton Wong, Jonathan Scope, Tommy LaStella, Kevin Biggio, David Fletcher, and Keaston Hira. At average we have Brandon Lau, Robbie Cano, Cesar Hernandez, Starlin Castro, D. Gordon, Lurie Garcia, Hanser Alberto, Profar, Odor, David Bodie, Adam Frazier, Luis Arias, and Scott Kingery. In the underwhelming tier, we have Wilmer Flores, Brian Dozier, Jose Peraza, Ryan McMahon, and Nicky Lopez. And then unknown guys, we have Franklin Barreto, Michael Chavez, Nico Horner, Gavin Lux, and Isan Diaz. But yeah, I mean, you got all of our thoughts. That's going to wrap us up here for second base. We'll catch you guys next time.